I think that's where, learning how to win on the road, and, you got to play through those things. And I thought for the most part, we did. There was a couple times in the game where we got a little distracted, whether it was a call or, the zone or switching pick and roll. Sometimes but we recovered from it pretty quickly, I thought. And, being able to kind of keep your focus during the course of the game when things aren't, they made a lot of shots too. They shot 56% from three. So seeing the ball, defending through a possession and seeing the ball go in, that can knock you back a little bit as well. But I thought we were, I thought we kept our composure throughout.
Welcome back, Hawks fans. It's your Atlanta Hawks wrap-up. It's your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another show. Hawks coming off a disappointing loss to the Miami Heat tonight, losing the last two in Miami tonight, 130 to 128. Heat win the season series, so now the Hawks have to finish with a better record than the Miami Heat to be able to jump them in the standings. And I know that's a tough loss. Hawks are now a game under 500 now, and this game was a tale of so many things. The Hawks in this game had a really good game. The Heat's weakness is in the paint. They had 70 in the paint points. So they did what they needed to do there. The thing that killed the Hawks tonight has been an issue that has been lingering with this team. 3-point defense. Because, listen, I feel like late in the game, the Heat were making shots even with hands in their face. But I do feel like early in the game, the Hawks let up a lot of open looks, and that's how guys like Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin got confidence. For the most part, and also bench. Heat had 58 bench points tonight to the Hawks 37. Martin, Oladipo, and Robinson were the big reasons why the Heat won this game. It wasn't really Butler and Hero and Bam. It was those three. They really are what beat the Hawks tonight with the three-point shooting. And then the Hawks couldn't hit threes. They were 9-28, 29. They couldn't hit threes tonight. And they had some really good looks tonight. If the Heat weren't as hot from three, because they had like 16 threes, or if the Hawks were better from three, the Hawks would have won this game. But it's just the little things that, can mean the difference between a win and a loss in so many situations. And I know Snyder, he's trying to figure things out with his team. I feel like the team is playing harder. I feel like there has been improvement in the game. I know when you see losses, you don't translate there's improvement because we're losing. But if you actually look at the way we've played these games with Snyder compared to the games with McMillan, there is an actual improvement. Trey's out there playing defense for a few possessions, man. He was out there guarding Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero was not getting easy looks against Trey. Before those were easy possessions, Trey was an easy target. Like, you could easily get past him. Now he's making a commitment to the defensive end. And those are just a few things that you want to see that are improvements. And like I said, tonight was just tough. I feel like this could have been a game for AJ Griffin. I know that Quinn has kind of basically been like, depending on the game and matchups will depend if I want to play Jalen or AJ, because he doesn't want to go to a full 10-man rotation. Tonight probably would have been a good game for AJ just to give another ball handler against that Heat ball pressure. Jalen didn't have a great game tonight, got into a lot of foul trouble early. We could talk about the refs. Refs were atrocious this game. I think usually when the Hawks play the Heat, you kind of see the difference in whistles. Heat gets a lot of whistles. Hawks don't get a lot of whistles. And then they're always getting called for fouls. And that's obviously frustrating, feeling like you're playing against that team and the refs at the same time. So it's obviously understandable from that situation why they probably were frustrated from an officiating standpoint tonight. But overall, the Heat did what they need to do tonight. They got the win, and then now they got the advantage. And the Hawks have to just regroup. You got a big game coming up against Washington the next two games. You're going to D.C. You need to win these games. Like this is big. Like, the Washington's only 2 games behind you, I believe. You need to win these games, or at least split to have a game lead still after, these next two. And then it doesn't get easier. They've got to play Boston. Like, they've got some tough games coming up. Like, the Hawks have a tough schedule. That's the thing about this whole head coaching switch and trying to adjust and make these adjustments. It's not like they're playing against the run-of-the-mill teams. They're playing against teams fighting to get into the play-in, improve playoff positioning, and top teams in the conferences. That's not an easy task. That's not an easy assignment for a team like this that's trying to learn under Quinn Snyder and what he wants to do. And like I said, I think, Bay's been big towards. He had he played 32 minutes tonight. Bay has been playing basically a few games where he's playing 30 plus minutes because Bey basically is playing more than John Collins is right now. And then obviously, John hasn't had the season he's wanted to have, and I think a lot of people have noticed that. It's been talked about on Twitter a few times, so we understand what's going on there. But realistically, Bey's been playing a lot of minutes, and I feel like you're playing your bench guy 32 minutes, you're probably like, man, probably need to, you don't really want Bey. I guess he doesn't want Bey playing 40 minutes. You probably could have said we could have went back to him, but he probably didn't want him playing 40 minutes. Because I swear in the first quarter, when he came into the game, after he got subbed in, he never came out the rest of the half. And I was just like, wow. Bey's been in here a long time, so that shows the trust that he has in Bey in those situations. And he played great against the last 2 games. Hunter didn't have a great game tonight. I know people are frustrated because Hunter's just an up and down roller coaster. First game he plays great. This game wasn't the best. And if you look at the numbers, it's not the worst, but it's just like there was no impact from DeAndre Hunter in this game, and that's where again frustration comes in. You want to see more from him. You need him in these types of games against the Heat. He's one of the big physical guys who can take that Heat punishment and give it back to them and score and get to the rim. And I think those are the things that are going to be tough for Snyder to figure out. And like I said, I still see improvements within the team and the way they're running things, different sets, different alignments and things like that. And listen, the Heat, they showed tonight why they're a team that has a grinded out culture. You can score 40, 45 in the first quarter, but they're going to make you grind it out for the next 3. And all they got to do is make more shots than you and have a couple of runs, and now they're back in the game, and now they're taking the lead. Hawks really were never able to have another run once they had that first quarter, and the Heat were. And that's how they slowly crept back into the game, took the lead, and then kept the lead after that. So, I think these are just learning experiences. DeJounte and Trey learning to play with each other under the Snyder coaching. Snyder, I feel like I've noticed when Trey and DeJounte are in the game, he wants DeJounte to be more of a scorer. Because he's like, listen, we got Trey who is our best playmaker. DeJounte, just focus on getting a shot, creating offense. Don't feel like you need to also be a facilitator as well. And then the second half, you notice, he tried to get Trey more off ball, running him off screens to get him in motion so the Heat couldn't trap, because Heat were starting to trap in the second half. So these are all things that it was a great coaching battle. Spoelstra was making adjustments, and Snyder was making adjustments, and Spoelstra was just able to get more out of his players and more plays down the stretch in the Hawks. But again, these are all learning experiences for this team. It's a learning experience for Snyder as he continues to try to figure out what he needs to do to get this team right. Like I said, you got Washington up next. They've lost 2 in a row, but and they'll have some injuries going into that game, but we'll see who plays in that game on Wednesday. But like I said, this isn't going to get any easier for the Hawks. They have a tough end of year schedule, and so they're going to figure out what they need to do so they can get some wins, because they need to start racking up some wins. We're getting out of that phase where there is a figuring out, filling out. Obviously, Snyder's going to be trying to incorporate more and more as the season goes on. I've said this. Check the schedules. I believe it's next week. I believe we play Monday and then we play again on Friday. I could be wrong. It might be another week after that. But there's a stretch coming up where the Hawks will, I think, have 3 or 4 days off. And that 3 to 4 day stretch is going to be huge for this team, because I know that's going to be where Snyder's like, this is my time to really implement stuff before we play Golden State. Because before the Golden State.
Made 7 straight shots.
So,
10 of their first
they got to figure some things out. They got to continue to work.
Put up a wild one.
I saw some good things. They had a really good game plan. They executed the game plan. They just had foul trouble and just guys not making shots.
16 assists and only 3 turnovers.
DeJounte, first quarter was really good. Second, third, fourth, kind of interested some good shots. Trey was having more facilitation type of thing. He was trying to get other guys open. He was attacking the Heat early and facilitating. In the fourth quarter, he came a bit more aggressive when it came to scoring. And I think that's part of Trey's development. It's just Quinn's like, listen, if you're feeling it and you get 40, fantastic. But you have to facilitate, get everybody involved, get everybody confidence. So that way we can have an even scoring effort. Because remember, for the majority of this game, John Collins was the leading scorer and he only played 20 minutes tonight. He had 17 and 20 minutes. That's a pretty efficient game for what he did in a limited amount of time. And he had foul trouble too, him and Jalen. So in that situation, I can see why he maybe thought, I can't go to Bey longer because he played 32 minutes. He played 32 minutes because of the foul trouble. So, he's probably, and like I said, DeAndre just wasn't able to pick up the slack when he came into the game for those guys if Bey was out getting a rest. So, like I said, we'll have to see. Big games coming up. Like I said, against Washington, Hawks have to figure it out. You're getting it. Like I said, I've always said the Hawks are going to be in the play-in. They're going to be in the play-in. You hope they can maybe get to a 6 seed, but they're going to at least be a play-in team. The question is, are you going to be 9-10, you got to win 2 games, or 7-8, you only got to win 1? That's going to be the question with this team. Because I think this team can win that 1 game. And I think when it gets to the playoffs, I think they could be a tough matchup for whoever they play. But right now, going through this process with Snyder and learning and trying to get this team on the same track and the same page to be ready to make that run is going to be tough. And they may not make the run. They may not. That's a realistic thing here. It's just all part of just a bunch of questions, a bunch of things that we're going to be trying to see as the season continues to go on. But we'll hope for the best, and we'll have to see what happens against Washington, the team they lost to. Hopefully they can get back to the winning ways, get back to 500, and continue to push forward as they need those next 2 games coming up right here against the Washington Wizards. But it's your boy Bryce Lewis. It's your Atlanta Hawks wrap up. I'll see you next time.